Welcome back to another Habs Daily News with your hockey coach, Guru Coach Frenchy. Today, episode number 75. We're going to talk about the men behind the pick of Juraj Slafkovsky. So don't go nowhere. Before we start, you know the drill. Please click on the like, subscribe to the show, and below this video, leave me a comment, tell me what you think about the episode number 75, and let's dive in and talk about. Today on the menu, we have the man behind the pick of Slafkovsky. We're going to talk about the philosophy of the Nick Boprov, one of the best scouts in NHL in the last 20 years. Finally, the NHL trade bait. Of course, it's fun news around the league. Here we go, guys. The man behind the pick, the Habs select. When you hear Ken Hughes, the general manager of the Montreal Canadiens, said, from Team Slovakia and TPS Liga team, the Montreal Canadiens are proud to select Juraj Slafkovsky. And when I want to mention this guy, because he talked about the team national Slovakia, it's rare in any pick you go to mention the team national first and then the team he played for. You have a reason behind this, and I'm going to let you know a little bit later why they go this direction. Secondly, I want to give credit for the Athletic website where I pick up that story and I'm sharing with you with some modification. But again, what amazing, great article for the Athletic website. So here's what's happening around the situation about Slafkovsky. Is first of all, the scout Nikolai Boprov talked a lot from people. The GM and the head coach of the national team Slovakia, Miroslav Sedin and Greg Ramsey. He talked a lot with the coaches for the team he played for, the TPS Liga. And at the end, he will always said Boprov about Slafkovsky is just a different hockey player and its friend human being. Let's talking about the men behind the picks. Boprov has been in the league for over 20 years as a scout and did many other roles in NHL. Long time ago, he met a guy, his name is Otto Aska. And this man, they built some relationship since 2003. He was the assistant GM for the Slovakia national team. He never played in NHL and he never been a coach. He played with Jágr for Team Slovakia National in 1990. Couple of months ago, he mentioned he was trying to figure out who he looked like Slafkovsky. Finally, he said, oh my God, he looked like Jágr. Not like he will become like Jágr in NHL, because he said he's the best player in Europe. So he's never going to be like that. But his style, the way he play in the corner, the way he shoot the puck, the way he's skating, the way he protect the puck, and how strong he is at 17 years old, said he remind me Jágr. Then Jágr said, Slafkovsky, he remind him like he looked like me at 17 years old. This is powerful words. And again, as a fan, don't expect Slafkovsky become another Jágr in NHL. But the way his path he did, way easy today, is the same way like Jágr did during his career. Now, I want to mention a bit more. It's all about connection in hockey. It's a small world. And one reason the relationship between Boprov and Otto came in 2003. First of all, Otto is a scout in NHL until last season. He's been with many other teams. But he was hired in 2003 by Boprov. Just give you an idea, Boston Bruins was the team where Boprov was working. Now, the interesting situation for Boprov, he came to the USA in 2000, beginning of 2000, and he played for the college called Middlebury, small college in Boston area. He became the captain of this team. During that time, guys, he was doing a lot of videos. Remember, VCR on the shoulder. He was doing all kind of stuff like that. It was all about learning, become a scout. The funny thing, guys, Ken Hughes, the general manager of Montreal Canadiens, was 8 years later the captain for the same college. The Boston Bruins, Jeff Gordon, assistant general manager, hired Boprov at 25 years old. Just give you an idea how young he was. And he was doing all the kind of stuff, video coach, analytic, and scouting. And that's how he got his job. Let's fast forward. Then he left the Boston Bruins, got hired by another young GM in NHL, Dean Lombardi, for the Los Angeles Kings. Then after that, he got hired by the New York Rangers and reconnect with Jeff Gordon. He became another director of scouting professional in Europe. Now, here's the biggest connection we got after that. First of all, just give you an idea. When he was working with the Boston Bruins, guys, the Boston Bruins won the Stanley Cup in 2011. He was one of the reasons they signed Marchand, Krejcik, Lucic, and you know the story. Then he went to the Los Angeles Kings. What happened? They won the Stanley Cup. All the pick they got over there, the Capital, the Brown, and you know the rest, Jonathan Quick. Then he went to the New York Rangers. Look what they look like today, the New York Rangers. One of the best teams in NHL. It's possible they could win the Stanley Cup the next 3-4 years. So what I want to share with you, Bobrov has always been recognized. He drafts very good what he does. Now, he said one day, you identify the voice you value the most in hockey. I repeat what he said. You identify the voice you value the most in hockey. If you meet someone in hockey, you really connect with that person, you really have that kind of connection with that person, you're always going to go back to them and ask her their ID and what he said, everything like that. That's make me run out thinking. He came back to see Mr. Otto, and with him, they're starting to talk about Slafkovsky. But remember I said it's a small world. Jeff Gordon hired Bobrov. Bobrov hired Otto. At the same time, he was with Boston Bruins. Martin Lapointe, he was a hockey player over there. Who is Martin Lapointe now? With the Montreal Canadiens, assistant director of scouting, professional for the team with Bobrov. We have to go like 20 years ago to see that connection. Then they hired Ken Hughes. The Gordon negotiation with Hughes many years make that kind of friendship together, and he got hired with the Montreal Canadiens. Then the Martin St. Louis connection with Hughes, the Vincent Lecavalier connection with Hughes. You can see now that foundation for the Montreal Canadiens is all about the small world in hockey. Let's move on to the next one, guys. Now came the pick at the selection and the reason they select Slafkovsky. They did the homework. Everybody, the Bobrov, the Hughes, the Gordon, and many other scouts. And what they realize is this really rare find a player like Slafkovsky. The size, the skating, the shooting, the skill, the hands, the puck protection, the strong he is. They evaluate all the past and the future draft. I'm telling you now, they did the homework. And they said it's easier to find a center. And you know, guys, they met Cooley. They met Shane Wright many times. But one other reason why they like Slafkovsky is because he played in the World Championship, he played in the Olympics, and his personalities is one reason, plus his maturity as a person at young age like he is. And the fact he played at 17 years old at the biggest stage in the world make Montreal Canadiens thinking to take Slafkovsky. Now let's go back at Otto Aska. Remember, he said not only what he does, Jagger on the ice, but of course, he said Otto, who he is off ice. He's always smiling. He's always a positive guy. He's fun to be around. He takes pressure. And remember, like I just said, he's been on the big stage. Then you have a story he said, look, at some point he was on the 4 line. Our top players on the first line ask a coach and the manager if they can play or they bring Slafkovsky on the top line. And you know what happened after that? He made that line better, and he made the first power play line better. Just what he did, Slafkovsky. Just give you an idea how good he is. So again, like I said earlier, he performed and he did it on the big stage. Another advantage versus Cooley and Wright. So Montreal, at the end of the day, decide to go with Slafkovsky after everything I just mentioned to you. And the man behind of this selection, we're going to remember forever, and maybe one day to thank him, is honestly Mr. Otto Aska. A story to follow, and we'll see what happened. But again, the man behind this selection, Nikolai Bobrov and Mr. Otto Aska. Now, I want to finish this episode, guys, with the NHL news around the league. The Nashville Predators signed the forechecker, 29 years old, Nino Niederreiter, at 2 years contract with $4 million per year, $8 million total, $4 million AAV. Finally, the Pittsburgh Penguins signed Kasperi Kapanen, RFA, at $3.2 million per year, a 2 years contract for a total of $6.4 million, AAV of 3.2. Still, no news about Kadri, Kessel, Klemberg, Rodriguez, and Milano is still something you have to follow up. Finally, not much about this situation with Matthew Tkachuk, other than the fact the St. Louis Blues increasing the negotiation with the Flames about get Tkachuk. We heard possible Tony Kruk, Kiru could be involved with that trade. We'll see what happening. We're going to follow up for sure. I know, guys, it's a little bit longer video, but I want to explain to you what happening, how the Montreal Canadiens select Slafkovsky, and finally, the man behind this selection. Please, before we leave, we want to remind you, don't forget to click on the like, subscribe to the show. Below this video, tell me what you think about my episode 75. And of course, you have greatness inside of you. Have an amazing, blessing Friday, everybody.